Hi, and welcome to Glazed Watermelon. In this episode, we are giving our first impressions of the EM05 Ultra Module set from Polymega, the makers of the Polymega. The Ultra Module allows you to play Nintendo 64 games from the USA, Japan, and PAL regions. It also connects up to 4 extra Nintendo 64 or Polymega style N64 controllers. You can also use other controllers like the Universal Polymega controller and other Bluetooth controllers. We're going to be doing an unboxing, showing off some gameplay and features, and finally our impressions of the module. We begin with the unboxing. Inside the box, we have the Ultra module and the wired Polymega Ultra Retro controller. As you can see, it has 4 controller ports and the top slot for the Nintendo 64 games, and the connector to the Polymega on the back. Here we have the Ultra Retro controller. It is like a Nintendo 64 controller. It even has the expansion port. It supports the N64 controller pack, the N64 rumble pack, and the N64 transfer pack. All the buttons have this cheap, clicky feel. The joystick is fine, but it's not as nice as the universal controller included with the Polymega. This is how you attach the module to the Polymega. Once the cartridge is in, it's got a good grip on it. To remove it, you need 2 hands, but it comes out easily enough. And that's it for the unboxing. Now this is where we had to stop the video. You see, Polymega shipped the Ultra module without its firmware, but there was no indication of this anywhere. So the system would crash every time we tried to connect the module. Thanks to the people in Reddit, we found out that the firmware to make it work would be released later. Actually, 5 days later, the firmware was released and then removed because it was breaking consoles that were hooked up to 4K TVs. And even some people were losing game saves. Later on, we got a firmware update that solved these issues and we were able to use the module. As for the games, you basically dump the cartridge into the Polymega. The process is pretty quick depending on the size of the game, so you no longer need the game in the module to play. We went ahead and installed some games and made them available in our library. Now the graphics are what I would call somewhere between the original N64 with composite cables and Nintendo Switch emulation. We were really hoping it would be more like the Switch with upscale textures, but in Polymega's defense, they never promised anything of the sort. The graphics look sharp and semi-detailed, and they are upscaled to 1080p in a 4:3 ratio. Jumping here with a quick note, the Polymega does support game patching, so HD pack support might be an option for N64 games in the future. As far as we can tell, there is no way to do this right now, so we'll keep you posted if this changes. When we attempted to launch Pilotwings 64, we got a warning stating that we needed to enable an option in the settings to run this game. I guess this means that some games are not fully compatible, but we didn't notice any issues when playing Pilotwings. Here are some other games so you can see what they look like on the Polymega console. One of the coolest features of the Polymega is that it allows you to create and load save states, which is a godsend for games like Resident Evil 2. It did show a warning that save states may void the game's internal save data. We assume this means that by using a save state, you're basically bypassing your real game data, and thus you might overwrite your old saves, but we are not 100% sure. Just be careful with your game saves. Another thing to note, you have to enable a virtual expansion pack per game in the console settings for those that need it. You can also enable the rumble feature by selecting a virtual rumble pack from the console menu. You can only select one device at a time. For example, the rumble pack will be removed if you choose the controller pack, and vice versa. We used an FPS analyzer, and in a fast-paced game like F-Zero 64, the game ran at around 60 FPS, but there were some drops here and there. We are not experts, so we are sure that Digital Foundry will review it and give you a better explanation of the Ultra module. So our first impression is that for $89 US, you're getting decent N64 emulation in a very convenient package. The module not only gives you the ability to store your games in the Polymega console, it also gives you an additional 4 controller ports for those Smash Bros. And GoldenEye multiplayer sessions. What we don't like is the way that Polymega has been handling the firmware updates for this device. Hopefully, they can provide better support in the long run. If you want more content like this, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.